funny story.
Yeah.
We were on the calendar method since we got married.
No, really?
I've never been on contraceptives. Still am not.
Till this day?
Yeah, I've never tried it. Of course, after giving birth, that's the first thing my gynae said. Here you go. Here's a prescription, and I still didn't go out. We were just too scared. We were just like, what is it going to do to my body? And because there was no need before marriage, we were like, we want to enjoy ourselves in marriage. And I don't want any changes when it comes to my body personally. And there was just never a reason. We really just were like, let's try calendar method. And if we have a kid, we have a kid. We're married.
So before you get into that, because my mind is blown right now. Because I knew that you were like not 100% on contraception, but I didn't know it was like completely like nothing. Never 0 days in your life. Nothing. Not the pill.
No.
Condoms?
We tried it.
Yeah.
I think after giving birth, I was so scared of being pregnant because apparently I had super fertile.
Yeah.
Didn't like it.
Okay.
I was like, that's safe for me. Nope.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I just felt like I abstained for most of my life and my adult life, and I was just like, we're going in. Whatever happens here. The cows are in. The parents have accepted anything here goes. I think my mom kind of tried to have the chat with me.
Yeah.
But it didn't land. I was just like, why?
The chat about like what family planning.
It was very much like a crash landing anyway. I think she was very nervous about like, how do I get into this?
Yes.
I think initially before that, when she tried, I was still in varsity, wasn't dating, wasn't interested in ever having sex before marriage.
Yeah.
It was just like, I literally was just like, okay, we see your time. So the second time, obviously now she knew Lwazi has proposed, Lwazi has said that it's to the family. This is a chat we need to have. I was still just like, bro, like I'm old enough.
Yeah.
So I think we were very stubborn in our ways that by the time I got married, we just made up our minds that this is not going to be an avenue we explore. Mm-hmm. So I was leaving Kenya and he had the Flow app. I actually didn't have the app.
Okay.
I think I'm weird like that.
So he's tracking your cycle.
Yes. I was just like, babe, I'm not going to use this app, but we need to use it at some point. Can I just keep it on your phone? I don't know. Actually, now that I think of it, if we were just crazy newlyweds, I don't know.
Okay.
This was about 5-6 months post-marriage, after marriage, wedding day. And I was leaving Kenya and I was yellow. Apparently, I had no color on my face. My colleagues were just like, you look like the Walking Dead.
Wow. Okay.
And I thought, because I'm waiting for my period, what's happening? Felt weak and I was flying. My husband sent me all these Google searches on like traveling a lot, country hopping. A few weeks before that, I was in Nigeria. And now I'm leaving Kenya and I'm going to another country, Tanzania. And he's like, that's why your cycle is off. I get to Tanzania and I still have, my period is not there. So I decided to have sushi that night.
Okay.
At the Cape Town fish market.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, in Dar es Salaam. And the food stays down, but I feel ill. I'm just like, something is just so off.
And all this time, you didn't think at all?
I did think.
Yeah.
He was sending me all this travel information that sort of affirmed our suspicion on like, you've been traveling a lot.
Yeah.
So that's why your body is just taking on too much stress. You're not okay. Your hormones are off. That's why you're not okay.
Yeah.
And I think on our last day in Dar es Salaam, I walked so much in the city. It was hot. I was fine. So there I am reaffirming this thing with you. Definitely not pregnancy. A pregnant woman cannot be the distances that I've done today.
Yeah.
And I land in South Africa the Saturday, a few days after our trip. And I am now could not sleep. I think my husband picked me up in the early hours of the morning and I did not sleep that whole night. I sat on the floor, I laid on the tiles and I'm just like, what is happening? Now something's really wrong. Yeah. And it was diarrhea full force.
Shit.
So we had to go to the doctor.
Yeah.
That very morning. It was so funny because she's just like, you sure you're not pregnant? I'm like, nah, don't even taste that.
Why did you think you weren't? That's what I'm curious about.
So confident about the Flow app and my calculations. Like I say, we were crazy newlyweds. We were crazy. I was like, no ways. We've been following this thing to the T. So, yeah, we get to the doctor and she's just like, touches my tummy. And she's just like, while we're waiting for the test. And I jump. I'm like, what is it? She's like, oh, no, that's your right ovary. It's very sensitive for somebody who's very confident. And the way she was so sarcastic.
Yeah, because she knew.
I don't know how they know.
I'm pretty, yeah, she knew.
Also, my confidence in audacity.
Yeah.
Probably just like, yeah, she's confident.
Yeah.
And it literally took a few seconds. She checked it and she laughed. And I was like, "Hey, but what's going on now?"
Yeah.
She says, "Congratulations, you are pregnant." I think in that moment, I could not hear what she was saying because I just stayed and were waiting for what she was saying. But
Yeah.
and he said what she said. And my reaction was just, honestly, it was, I think for my husband, still a little traumatic for him because I didn't take it very well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I went to the reception and I just needed to pay. I think you needed to pay for the extra pregnancy test. Everything else was on medical aid. And walking out, I was still a little like dazed. And I get in the car and he was waiting for me. And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, exactly. Seems like we're pregnant." His face just lights up. And I'm just like, I don't know if I'm ready for this. So now all of a sudden the switch up, it's like, "You're not excited?"
Yeah.
"What do you mean?" And I'm like, "Anyway, these are the prescriptions. I need to take this and that for the diarrhea, the nausea." And I just wanted to keep it moving. And for him, it was just like, this is a moment we need to soak in. Can we just enjoy this?
Yeah.
And I was like, "What is there to enjoy? I don't know if I'm ready for a baby."
Mm.
And he's like, "All those conversations, we were ready to go. Like, what do you mean?" So it was very much of a huge anticlimax. Even now, I feel like whenever we talk about it, he's still like, "Yo, that was hard."
Yeah.
It was hard for me to see how different our reactions were. And a few weeks later, I even wanted to go away. I just needed to clear my head. But after that, I was super excited. And to him, again, it was just the huge jump, the like two opposite reactions.
Yeah.
I was suddenly super excited, but I needed to process it.
Yeah. It's a big deal.
It's huge.
And it's interesting because like how you're saying that now, like it cast me back to when I found out also I was pregnant. I didn't react the same way that I thought I would.
Yes. It's not like the movies.
It's not like the movies. It's not. And you know what? It happened all 3 times. All 3 times. I wasn't like, really? Even the second time when it was planned, we planned on it. It wasn't like, I wasn't scared. Like the first time I was scared. I was feared. Yeah, I was petrified. Like my heart was like, and then the second time was like, "Oh, okay, cool." It worked. And then the last time was a complete surprise.
You didn't expect it, yeah.
Didn't expect it at all,
So it was still, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like, okay, let me just take the test as a precautionary thing. So that's what I was thinking about when you were talking about how the doctor gave me the test. You're like, fine,
yeah, whatever.
Just shut her up, Sandy,
like that.
Honestly, the more I talk to women, the more normal this kind of story is.
Really? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I just got goosebumps.
Yeah.
That is so reassuring.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that. And I don't even think I've told the story like this because I feel there was a time where I was ashamed of the way I reacted.
Yeah.
Why did I? Like,
yeah.
Obviously now you look at this beautiful boy and I'm just like, oh, what would life be without you? I can't see that. And knowing how I reacted when I found out, obviously you don't know your child.
You don't.
But it wasn't about him at that moment. But it takes time to process everything and accepting that. But I think I might have shamed myself for a moment of like, wow, why was I disappointed?
Well, I think that's the thing. It's that setting ourselves up for an impossible expectation. It's the movies, it's society, it's family, it's friends. And then again, as always, it's another topic about like in motherhood that we don't really talk about.
Yep.
Because we feel like we're going to be judged, we're going to be shamed. And it's not that we feel like it. It does happen, unfortunately. And so I think that in itself, like, I'm glad that you shared that because other women, I think, need to also hear that, just like how you needed to hear now that that's actually quite a normal reaction. It's not always, I have a friend who's a doctor actually, and she told me that when they were trained to, tell the patient news and pregnancy news in particular, they were told to be very, very neutral. Not to be like, because she was saying that, the news of pregnancy it's not always happy news for everybody. You don't know what situation that they're in any way, mentally, financially, or whatever, if they're in an abusive relationship or, those kinds of things. So she was like, we always have to be neutral because it could be the worst day of our life or it could be the best day of our life. And so every woman reacts differently to that.
Funny you say that because I was sort of at my peak in my career I was traveling. I just come back from these presentations in different countries.
Yeah.
It was my first time in East Africa and not my last. So maybe in that moment, I just came back and it felt so good and I wanted to travel more.
Yeah.
It was for work, and all of a sudden in my career, I was just like at a trajectory that was just, everything was keeping on coming. And I thought maybe like, what now? Because I've seen what happens when women go on maternity leave. The minute they announce they're pregnant, suddenly your boss treats you differently. Suddenly some projects taken away from you, assuming this is not what you need right now. It's too much for you. And it's given to somebody else who might be a junior to you. Or just out of, spite sometimes. So maybe those thoughts were there in that moment. But I'm glad I got over it, because once I started just like processing everything, and again, I'm glad I processed it, because it's also important to feel and understanding that the two can coexist. You are allowed all the emotions, because it feels as though the world gives us one template. And that's the only one that can exist.
And if you deviate at all from that, you're a bad mom. You're neglectful. You're selfish. You're whatever it is. And it's exactly that. And this is a thing that's like part of the work that I'm trying to be a part of, in sort of helping people unlearn those preconceptions of motherhood. Because our current generation of mothers are drowning in it. This idea of I have to do this and I have to be this and I have to feel this, and if I don't feel that, then I'm a bad mom. And the shame, how you were mentioning earlier, it's not just shame from other people, it's our own shame. We are self-shaming because we still think that in order to be a good mom, we have to fill out all of these, sort of like roles and the emotions and things like that. So you can be grateful and you can feel like my child is a blessing and the fact that I'm a mother is a blessing. And you can also be tired. You can also feel overwhelmed, and you can also feel like what you were feeling, just sort of like, okay, now what?
What now? And I'm feeling this. Can I feel this? Am I thoughts, emotions? So it felt like that. But a few months later, I think, having given myself the time, I also feel like our parents gave us the distance. It was just so amazing how they received the news. Obviously, they were happy, but maybe it's because we're stubborn and they know we do our own thing. It was so nice to not have so many voices all at once. I know a lot of couples, the minute they announce, everyone's got advice. I didn't get any advice during our pregnancy until like near the end, when my mom-in-law was like preparing me for lactation and things like that, and sending like either apps or suggestions on like, hey, read on this just to prepare yourself for birth. But before that, I was really not bombarded with anything else but my thoughts. And that helped me process, because suddenly there were no distractions. I could focus on my work, how I want to do things, and that's new to me.
That is so helpful.
It's healthy. It's needed. It's so necessary, and not all of us have it. But it's also good for when I don't have it, because there might come a time where maybe I'm pregnant again, and then is family. I now know all those boundaries and